All right, all right, all right. All right, 49er fans, I am back. Day 2 of free agency has started. Now, of course, just so you know, the official free agency, all the people that are saying they're signing all these people, can't do anything until tomorrow. So everything is pretty much agreed to in principle. So we have been what we've normally been in free agency. Unfortunately, very quiet. 49er fans, we signed Kwon Alexander. You guys saw my rant on that one yesterday. I was pretty upset because we gave this guy a ton of money and coming off another ACL injury. Thanks, John Lynch. Thank you so much. Greatest GM ever. But there was a lot of activity in free agency today. One of the biggest trades, OBJ to the Browns. So we were in the mix, but it doesn't look like we wanted to give up our number 2 pick in the draft to go ahead and get OBJ. So he's a Brown. I can say the Browns have made some crazy moves this offseason, especially in free agency, and they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. So anybody that's sleeping on the Browns, y'all might want to be careful, man, because they finished their season real strong, and I can tell you right now, they look really, really good. So basically, I'm just taking a look at ESPN.com right now, and our guy Nick Wagner, who's our staff writer for them, says that Dee Ford is expected to be traded to San Francisco for a 2020 second-round pick. So the beauty of that is we don't give up a pick at this year's draft, it's next year's draft, which I don't mind. But the contract is just a little excessive. Once again, we're just doling out cash like it's ridiculous. We got DeForest Buckner coming up here pretty soon. You know, we got to pay him, so we got to have some money left over. But, you know, Ford is expected to sign a deal close to 5 years, $87.5 million upon arrival. Now, Dee Ford hasn't been the most spectacular linebacker. He was drafted. I believe he was a first-rounder when he was drafted, you know, but he hasn't necessarily panned out to be an over-the-top, really dynamic linebacker. You hear his name and you kind of understand who he is. You know who he is, but he hasn't really made a lot of impact. So, you know, I can even pull up his stats and even tell you guys exactly how big of an impact he really has made. So it's touch and go with this one. I mean, what I feel like is happening right now is they're trying to address the pass rush through free agency, so we don't have to go ahead and draft a Nick Bosa or Josh Allen or somebody like that. Me personally, I still would rather them go ahead and draft Josh Allen just because of the production and because of the numbers. I looked at Nick Bosa's numbers and I've looked at Josh Allen's numbers, and I'm telling you right now, they don't even compare. Like nothing. You see Josh Allen on the progression every year, step up, boom, 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 boom. You see Nick Bosa on a flat line. He's done the same exact stuff. So he hasn't really done anything to be overly dynamic, but I can tell you right now it's going to be a beautiful thing if we are able to still at least draft either one of these guys to be able to put them in our defense and make our defense that much better. Another thing we do have to address is our back end. You know, free agencies out there, and right now we haven't heard anything about anybody giving Earl Thomas any money. So, honestly, we need to go get him. You know, we're running this damn Legion of Boom shit, so we might as well go get, you know, Earl Thomas to help, you know, at the safety position along with Adrian Colbert, because it looks like we're letting Jaquiski Tartt go. But what I would state, honestly, is just to make sure that you pay close attention to my channel. I'll continue to keep you updated. So our 2 signings right now are Kwon Alexander. He was a linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now he's a 49er, pending he passes the physical, because he needs to do that coming off that ACL injury, as well as Dee Ford from the Kansas City Chiefs. You all know who he is. He did have a monster year this year. He had a pretty nice amount of sacks and whatnot. So other than that, we have not really been active in free agency. There's been a lot of big name players that have gone places. I would love to have, you know, went ahead and, you know, drafted, you know, went ahead and made more moves in free agency. But this is typical of John Lynch. He doesn't move a lot in free agency. I mean, this is more action than we saw in the first 2 years of his, you know, his regime as the general manager. So I'm assuming they're probably going to build a little bit more through the draft. We could have went ahead and picked up at least some of these DBs out here because we definitely need defensive back help. Sherm did great by all accounts. He was still back to his normal self even after the injury. We did give him a couple games off here and there, and he did need to take some rest because he is an older player. But at the same time, Keller Witherspoon regressed. We didn't have anybody else that was a defensive back that actually really stood out. I see Keith Reeser is over there in the AAF balling out. We used to have him. Maybe we want to talk to him and see about giving him a deal. But, it is what it is, and we just have to kind of roll with the punches right now. Unfortunately, this regime is with us for another 3 years, so we're just going to have to deal with it. So, if what I could do, I'm going to tell you guys what Dee Ford's stats pretty much are. So, his regular season stats from last year, he had 55 tackles. He had 13 sacks, 7 forced fumbles. He didn't have any interceptions or anything like that, But for his career, Dee Ford has, a total of 30.5 sacks. Now you got to think about it. He had 13 last year, so you subtract that. That means over 4 or 5 years, he didn't really push too much in sack production. And at the same time, the Chiefs' defense wasn't really over the top great, but they performed when they had to. But then again, we got Pat Mahomes throwing the ball. It's not really that big of a deal if you don't show up on defense, because he's going to fling the ball all around. That dude throws left, right, up, down, in and out. I mean, he's a virtual cheat code on Madden. When you look at it, so you'll see his ratings probably skyrocket from what they were by him being a rookie. So. Right now, we've got, a nice little list of linebackers. So we got Dee Ford, this guy Quan Alexander, Brock Coyle will be back off injury, Elijah Lee. We got Nzacha. We got this guy named James Onuwalu. Unfortunately, Malcolm Smith is still there. I don't see why he's still there. Peta is still there. Dakota Watson's still there, and Fred Warner. And all those guys that I named right now, I can tell you, honestly, the only people that I want to see on the field is Fred Warner, Dee Ford. I like Brock Coyle. Coyle did very well when he was healthy. And most likely at least Quan Alexander to see what he's got. It's just enough. And it's driving me insane that, some of these guys are just nobody. Dakota Watson can never stay healthy. I have no idea why we even gave him any money. He don't even get on the field to do nothing. Nzacha is more so a special teams player. That's why he's there. Peter's same thing, more so a special teams guy. This James Onuwalu. I don't even know who that is. I don't know where he came from. And I keep up with our team very well. So, to be honest with you, it's just a situation where, Dee Ford came off a monster year, so that yielded him a big, big payday. But once again, I kind of feel like we're wasting a lot of money. We're giving these guys all this money. We're giving everybody, we're doling out money to these linebackers because we need them, because we're trying to figure out how we can make up for the situation with Reuben Foster, and I get it. But honestly, we need some DB help. And there's been a lot of defensive backs that have been gone and been signed, with all other places. I mean, like I said, the Cleveland Browns have been so ridiculously active in free agency. It's not even funny, man. I'm going to go there and show you, just to tell y'all exactly what the Browns have been doing. Their transactions are fucking over the top. So they trade to get OBJ. Okay? So that's the first thing, And then they get Sheldon Richardson to go along with Myles Garrett and this other dude. I can't pronounce his name, but he's African, and that's a big motherfucker. He's a bad motherfucker, too. So you get Brashad Perryman and bolster your wide receiver corps. So I mean, they just got active and they did what they had to do. So you see how teams move, you see what people do, and the Browns are getting themselves better. And I know that they'll be contenders next year. They finished I believe 7-9. We finished 4-10. 4-12. So that shows you that they got progression, and that Freddie Kitchens is going to do something good with Baker Mayfield. But our 49ers have to continue to progress. We got to continue to grow. Like I said, this is just me checking in. I'm just letting y'all know. Free agency, we only got 2 moves so far. Both the linebackers, Quan Alexander, Dee Ford. Dee Ford had a monster year last year with 13 sacks. Hopefully he can continue to give us that great production and continue to come into the fold and be a great person to be able to do some nice things for us since we run in this 4-3 scheme. I just want y'all to know, hopefully tomorrow, we get everything, get everybody signed, and we continue to make progressions. And I hope that we get more active in free agency. We start signing some DBs because we need defensive back help. We need safety help. So, we're giving out all this money, to a guy coming off an ACL injury. We could have thrown all that damn money at Earl Thomas. Just a thought. But either way, I want y'all to stay blessed, stay peaceful, stay humble, and have a good evening.